We are joined by Sophie Davies-Patrick, CTO of MPB. Sophie, how are you? Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Aaron. Nice to meet you.
Great. So we're now in the lead up to the 10th anniversary of the Women in IT Awards UK. Of course, you won the series CTO of the Year award in 2021. So with that in mind, could you talk a bit about how the award has sort of what it's meant to you?
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. So I was absolutely trying to think of the right adjective. I'm going to say gobsmacked, or really surprised and delighted. It was quite early on in my tenure at MPB. When I joined the company, it was quite small, and I joined as their first CTO. I actually joined during lockdown, but despite the fact I couldn't meet my team in person to start with for a few months, it was kind of clear that there was a few low-hanging fruit to improve the way the team was working and communicating and delivering. And in consultation with the team, we made some quite early changes, which really had a great big impact in terms of time to delivery, stability, security, and ways of working. And the nomination of the Women in IT Awards kind of came sort of after that first 6 months that I was there. And having met the other nominees that year, I really was not expecting to win. There were some really impressive women there, but I did. And I remember the virtual award ceremony and how delighted I was to have won it. And I think for somebody moving into their first CTO role, particularly, as I said, during a kind of quite a difficult time for a lot of people, the fact that I was recognised really boosted my confidence and really kind of made me realise that, yes, this was a job that I was capable of excelling at. So, yeah, I'm really, really glad I entered, absolutely, delighted I won, as I said.
That's amazing to hear. Yeah, congratulations again on that. So, just looking back to the start of your career, what made you want to enter the tech industry? What appealed to you about learning how to work in the tech industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, when I was at school, I used to, it was kind of the advent of personal computers, and I did actually teach myself to code as a child, and didn't really keep it up through my teens. But when I was coming to leave university and deciding what to do as a career, I thought about that time and thought about how much I'd enjoyed it. And also talking to a few people and career service and so on, it kind of dawned on me that it's a really interesting mix of creativity and kind of logical thinking, which really kind of spoke to the two sides of my personality. I love creating, but also I really, I think in kind of very clear way. So I applied for a number of schemes that were run at the time for kind of graduate apprentices, I guess, or graduate entry people who hadn't done IT or software engineering at university. Was lucky enough to be accepted on one of those, and really kind of took it from there. And I did code for sort of first 2 or 3 years of my career solely, but then moved into kind of project management, and then sort of flip-flopped a little bit between hands-on and management and leadership, as people kind of often do throughout their careers. And then latterly, in the kind of latter half of my career, really post my maternity leave with my son, I focused more on the leadership and have really enjoyed that. But I still really appreciate the fact that I learned to code, and I'm very rusty now. But it was a good grounding for me.
That's amazing. And how big a role as the presence of role models in your previous years played a role? How big a role has that played in the development of your career?
So when I started that went on, I was in a company of 100 software engineers, of which 3 were women, actually 3 plus me, so 4, which is very small. And whilst they were amazing women, they were sort of not particularly senior and so on. And really, the role models I've had throughout my career have been less on the kind of technology side and more on the business side as I've moved into larger companies. I learned from a number of women kind of how to present, how to have executive presence, how to really lead your teams and motivate your teams as well. So I would say it's a shame there are less kind of women at my level than there could be. However, it's a lot better than it was. So I think the phrase, if you can't see it, you can't be it, is kind of quite a key one. And really, I think the only reason that, the only thing I can really remember from my childhood around this was we had some structural engineers come to visit our school, women, to encourage, women to think about an engineering, but like a hands-on civil engineering career. And really that's the only kind of role model I can think of in my career. But I think even that was quite powerful. Just even some women came saying, yep, you can be technical, whereas all the other kind of women I perhaps knew at that time, the roles they had were less technical. There was a doctor and so on, but everybody I knew who was working anything to do with computing was male. So I think even having structural engineers coming really made me realise it broadened my horizons slightly. So yeah, it's really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely, and we've seen more women get into leadership positions slowly but surely. So there's bound to be more role models for budding tech talent to look up to, right?
That's it, absolutely. And I think, I hope as time goes on, as more women coders kind of enter the industry and stay in the industry, although there is a drop off around the people's mid-30s, which is a real shame. I can only sort of guess that correlates with having children. And I know myself, when I had some time out, extended maternity leave, it's really hard to get back to a hands-on technical role. And I think there is definitely more that companies can do to support those returners who want to stay technical. There's often a kind of decision point around that time of people's career as to whether to double down and go the kind of staff engineer, staff architect, principal engineer route, or whether to move into leadership. And that sort of tends to, with women, correlate with thinking about taking time out for family. And I wonder if, like I did, perhaps they default to the leadership decision because it's like the easiest way, you can more easily return to it. Or if there's another reason, I don't know. But I think, I would love to see more kind of technical hands-on women out there as role models to show that that's a really legit, amazing, interesting career path as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Great points there. So now moving on to your role as CTO of MPB, for the uninitiated, a videography and photography equipment provider. How have you gone about ensuring a diverse, equitable and inclusive workforce and culture across the organisation?
Absolutely. MPB is absolutely amazing. So yeah, we circulate the secondhand or used videography and photography kit, as you say. It's actually a huge company. We circulate actually 500,000 items annually across the three continents the three operations that we're in the UK, EU, and Europe. So it's a big company, and the interesting thing about the photography industry is, similarly to the technology industry, it also, is not as gender balanced as it could be. And when the company was started by our founder and co-founder, he actually really wanted to change that. So we're now at a situation where the executive team, which I'm part of, is 50% women, 50% men, which is, unusual still these days. A female CTO, and that really sets the intention of the company. We talk a lot about representing female photographers, for example, and we actually, really sort of do that tangibly as well in some of the programs we run and some of the ways we showcase their work. So I think it's really baked in. That sort of sustainable, diverse ethos is really baked into the company, as you might expect for a company that recirculates kit rather than allowing it to go to landfill. So it's deep in its DNA, which really helps, because I think a lot of companies, really genuinely want to do better in terms of diversity in our industry, but I think it has to come from the top. And of course we definitely celebrate and support and do everything we can within my team to ensure that balance across the genders. It's an area that I think we're doing slightly better than the industry. Are we at 50-50? We're not, but we're slightly above the rest of the industry, which I'm proud of, and it's definitely an area of focus.
Yeah, and that ethos, as you say, is bound to lend itself really well to continuing to innovate in your market, right?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. We're the market leader in our globally for in this sector, which we're really proud of, and I think it's really underpinned, as I said, by that great sustainable ethos.
Absolutely. So, from your experience, what advice would you give to tech leaders now regarding hiring and retaining diverse tech talent?
I mean, I think the industry's been through a bit of a roller coaster in the last sort of 18 months, hasn't it, with regard to coming out of COVID, and there was a huge crunch for talent, and it was very difficult to find talent at all, you know, regardless of kind of background. And I think as that calms down now, I think people have the opportunity to kind of really ensure that they look at that diverse slate when they're bringing forward shortlists for positions, and really, you know, just something as simple as talking to your hiring managers about that this is something we value. Of course, you know, it's appropriate that we hire the right people for the jobs and so on, but, you know, just making it a topic of conversation is something that that, you know, is absolutely great to bring the focus on. The Women in Technology Awards are another good way of kind of showcasing the top talent that is within our industry. So we know from MPB this year we'll be nominating several individuals, which I'm super excited about. And, you know, I would definitely encourage hiring managers out there who want to improve diversity to kind of think about, you know, their talent within their existing teams and how they can potentially nominate them. I think it makes the existing staff, you know, really feel as valued as they should, and it also sends a great message to new people who are considering your company as a career.
Absolutely, and that that's great. Just to close off, Sophie, could you expand on what you just previously discussed? Why should our viewers watching this now get involved and submit nominations either for themselves or their colleagues to future editions of the Women in IT Awards?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, you know, it's a great awards. So it's been going for sort of several years now, and it's kind of very well established, I think. And I certainly felt going through the nomination and judging process, it was really fair and really kind of equitable. And as I said, I met some really interesting people throughout it, which was really good. Didn't miss out on the ceremony, unfortunately. As I said, it was all the days I was with. But, you know, I think you know, these sort of awards are really just a great way of kind of highlighting the talent that we do have in the technology industry. And yes, for the time it takes to submit the nomination, I would really encourage hiring managers to leaders to think about their team in the widest possible sense, and just give it a go.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for your time today, and best of luck to you and the team at MPB.
Thank you very much. It was lovely to meet you.